Neymar suffered a nasty looking left ankle injury, and in this video we're going to take a look at how severe this could be for the football star. Welcome back everybody, I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer, and this is your #1 source for learning about the unique medical side of the world of sports. Getting straight to the play where this happens here, this is a classic mechanism of an inversion or a lateral ankle sprain for Neymar. As his left foot is coming down here, it's expecting that it's going to make contact with the pitch, not on another player's ankle, as it unfortunately does right here. And so what that does is it causes this abnormal impact to be exerted onto Neymar's foot that then causes his ankle to go into this severe inversion position. Inversion is whenever the foot rotates in that way, as opposed to eversion would be the opposite direction. But everything about this classic mechanism for an inversion ankle sprain, injuring the ligaments on the outer or lateral portion of the ankle. Another important thing to point out in this video though is the amount of torque that's actually applied up on Neymar's knee as well. His knee almost goes into a little bit of this varus, or what we would call like bow-legged position, with the knee pointed outwards. Now thankfully his knee is a little bit bent, and so I don't suspect this is going to cause too much injury to his knee, but we always have to consider the other joints in the body when we're talking about an injury to one location. Certainly a varus load to the knee like this can stretch the ligaments on the outer portion of the knee. So something to think about here if Neymar starts to develop some knee symptoms and knee pain after first worrying about the ankle. Another important thing to pick up from the video is the exact position of the foot when it goes into inversion, because that can help predict which specific ligaments are injured. But before we get into that with more detail, I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's video. Thanks to Geology for sponsoring this video, a company that's a longtime supporter of the channel and a product that I'm always happy to recommend. Before I had a skincare routine, I would sit there and watch my wife take really immaculate care of her skin, but I was so overwhelmed with all the different products that she had, the ingredients, and I'd go to the store and I had no clue what to pick, so I just did nothing. But then I heard about Geology, a personalized skincare company for men that's going to basically start you off by walking you through exactly what you're looking for in a skincare regimen. The ingredients are backed by science, and now I can feel good about taking care of my skin without that unnecessary stress. My favorite product of theirs is their Vital Morning Face Cream. It just makes my skin feel soft, healthy, and refreshed as I start off my day. I also appreciate that they have retinol in their products. This stuff is like the powerhouse of wrinkle reduction. Really helps as well with oil, which is something I used to struggle a lot with on my skin. I highly recommend their 30-day trial kits, and if you use code Brian70, you can get 70% off that first order. So you can get that trial kit for as little as $9. Make sure you hurry up because this deal won't last long. Do something nice for your skin and help support this channel by checking out Geology today. Thanks again to Geology for sponsoring the video, and let's get back to our learning. As I mentioned, Neymar's foot position when he comes down here before it goes into inversion influences which ankle ligaments are going to be most likely to tear. Here in this position on his foot, we have, of course, 3 primary lateral ankle ligaments. We have the ATFL that sort of runs in this direction, the CFL that runs north-south this way, and then the PTFL kind of going back like this. Here you can see, though, how his foot is pointed downward. It's a little bit what we call plantar flexed. Now, whenever the foot is plantar flexed like that, it specifically loads that ATFL ligament more because that ATFL is more in line with the whole angle and position of the foot. So then the foot is plantar flexed as his heel makes contact with the other player. It then rolls into that inversion position, which can predispose that ATFL injury opposed to the other ligaments. Now, whenever the foot is more dorsiflex, meaning the toes are pointed upwards, that's when we start to see more injury to the CFL and the rest of the ligaments around the ankle. Going next to our biodigital anatomy tool here, in green, I've highlighted those 3 ankle ligaments that we were just talking about. This one here in the front, that's going to be our ATFL. It's the one that's most commonly torn with an ankle sprain, and you can tell how whenever the foot is pointed downward a little bit, it's going to sort of stretch and put that ligament in a predisposed position to tear whenever the ankle inverts. Working our way kind of around the clock, then we have the CFL that sits right here, and then the PTFL in the back. Honestly, it's really rare for this PTFL ligament to be torn, much more so ATFL than CFL, and then the PTFL. Prognostically, what are we talking about in terms of recovery? Well, it all depends on associated injuries like potential fractures, and then the severity of the ligament tear. After the game, we saw Neymar was on crutches with a walking boot there on his left foot, and so this does give us some clue about the severity of the injury. First off, in an acute situation like this, the #1 goal is to have pain-free mobility, pain-free walking. And so if that requires a boot only and no crutches, great, you don't use crutches. If they're still limping with the boot, that's when you start to use crutches. So the whole goal here is to get Neymar pain-free walking around. And unfortunately, in this case, he needs both the walking boot here, the black, and the crutches, which could signify a more serious injury. We can then grade these ligament injuries from a grade 1 to a grade 3, with 1 being the most mild and 3 the most severe. If we think of this as the ligament, a grade 1 is small little, basically micro tears that you really can't see that much unless you kind of really get a close view of the ligament. But then a grade 2 is going to be more of kind of a partial tear. The full thing's not completely torn. There's more of just this partial tear going through the ligament. And then a grade 3 is going to be that full, complete rupture of that ligament. Even if there is a grade 3 injury, these don't necessarily need surgery. It's just going to result in a longer time period to heal, to restore that mechanical stability and get his function back. In terms of recovery time, assuming this is purely a ligament injury and there's no fractures or injuries to tendons or muscles, for a grade 1, we're usually talking about more like 1 to 2 weeks. A grade 2, usually that kind of 2, 3, 4 weeks. And then a grade 3, we're talking about like 4 to 6 weeks, maybe longer. But again, it comes down to how quickly their pain gets under control, they're able to get back that stability in their ankle, and then return to their sport-specific activity. Hopefully the boot and the crutches were more of a precaution than a true textbook, looking at how much pain they have. The goal in the next couple of days is going to be to get that swelling down and then start to institute some range of motion, because that motion actually helps to promote the ligament healing. If there's associated fractures, then this of course becomes a whole other discussion in terms of how long he could be out. But by no means does this seem like it's any sort of season-ending injury or something that should have him out for multiple months. That's it for the video, everybody. Let me know as always any questions or comments down below. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.